Hello everybody. I'm going to do a video on a very popular topic that I hear a lot of the time that people are talking about. And I want to throw in my two cents, and looking forward to everybody's comments on that as well. And this is about gold and silver. Not as real money. There is no debate on that at all. And as we know, it is real money. I mean, there's no question about it, because if it wasn't real money, governments would not be stamping currency on there. As you can see, there's $100 currency on here, and I don't understand really too much about the face value. And this is a $2, a 2-ounce ear of the rabbit. Okay, this is 100 compared to American Eagle. Why is this worth twice as much value, face value? I had a Canadian Maple Leaf that was a 5.9 purity coin. That was a $200 face value. That's 4 times the value of a gold eagle. And same thing with the Canadian Maple Leafs, the silver Maple Leafs. They have a face value of $5, as the silver eagle has 1. So that right there was 5 times the value as an eagle. And so I find that a little fascinating. I don't know too much about what that means. Probably nothing, but it's got to mean something. That's a currency on the coin. So now let's talk about being used as real currency, and why are we not on it now, and the reasons why we got off it before, from 71. And for us to really understand gold and silver as real money, we have to understand the history of it. So as far as I understand, let's just go back way before our time and go back to the Roman Empire. Let's start with them, okay? And what made them so powerful, and the good part and the bad parts of gold as real money and silver. It's very good to start an empire or nation or government as it's growing, okay? But when it gets to a certain size, it becomes a curse, because it restricts the nation from continue on and grow, and it kills the nation. It destroys the nation. You literally go bankrupt, or you go up in flames. So gold and silver itself has failed more times for empires and nations than fiat currency has. They all fail. It's not what we use, it's how we use it. And the problem is, we can't control it. It's impossible to control. Things get out of hand, and eventually all things turn into zero value. So now let's go back to the Roman empires. As they were growing, becoming bigger, getting homes, becoming a more social empire, bigger populations, bigger armies, wars, taking over lands, doing this and that. That was very expensive. It cost the government massive amount of money. And the problem is, you can't really mine that gold that fast, can you? No, you can't. You can't. Even if they had the technology today, back then, they probably still may not be able to do it. Okay? Too hard to bring out of the earth to expand the nation, to handle the demand for the growth, should I say. It's impossible. So what did the empires do? Roman Empire, as we're still on, as the citizens will be buying stuff, government will be taking a coin, shaving it off for taxes and whatever, and then they're melting it down with copper, brass, whatever else metal that they can find, a cheap metal. And now your gold coin isn't the same value as it once was, because it's not all gold anymore. And then they kept doing that process till it basically came to an all brass coin, and that was the end of the empire. Okay, the same method that we're doing now with the dollar. The more dollars you have in there in your currency, circulating in a currency. That's a key word. If the money's just sitting in the bank, it's not doing anything. It's not making an inflation. It has to be circulated in the currency, from person to person. which is called money flow or velocity. So now the money's just sitting there, or the gold. It's not doing anything. But now the dollars are losing value because they have to print more because of growth. Okay, we're running into the same situation as the Roman empires did, and the ones after that and after that. Gold has failed 100% of the time too. Okay, but nobody wants to talk about that. Gold is a failure too. Okay, it is probably the biggest failure of all because it's only best when you're first building up a nation. Okay? It is not for a nation that is already established. It's for a nation that's small and growing. Okay? Look at George Washington when he made the Constitution. Okay? Pretty much in bold letters, gold and silver as real money. Okay? But what was the population back then? And look how the United States looked back then. Just envision it. Was there power lines then? Did they have electricity? Did they have cars? So if no cars, that means there's no roads, no bridges. Okay? They were using horses, man. They were using candles as light. They didn't have electricity. Okay? They didn't have a McDonald's back then. They didn't have any of that stuff for growth, for economic growth. They were a nation starting. Very limited people, very limited economic growth at that particular time. So they were growing and growing and growing. And then basically in our time frame, in like, well, I wouldn't say our time frame, but basically the time frame that we understand a little bit more, back when they made the gold illegal in 1933, after we got it as real money, okay, not backed by paper, but really real currency, really. Governments have no choice because they're getting too big. The economy is growing, the country is growing, okay. That's why I'm saying it's great to get the country growing, because the gold worked great to build the nation. Building the roads, the buildings, the bridges. But once you got to a certain size of a nation, things change. And in a hurry. With population growth. Growth is... You always got to have a demand for economic growth. It can't be a stalemate. Otherwise you run into huge problems. Because there's a population is keep growing. Okay? Do you think George Washington back then really thought that there'd be 7 billion plus people on the planet? Are you kidding me? There's more people than there is jobs. This is why the economies are crashing around the world. There's too many people. This is why in today's world that we're getting further and further and further away from gold as real money. Governments would love to use that again, because that's what built their nations in the beginning so strong and powerful. But they can't mine it fast enough for the growth that the country demands and needs. Okay? And the population, for people to have those coins in their pocket, is impossible. It is impossible to do. Otherwise they would have done it. And that excuse about, oh, they went back to the paper so the ultra wealthy can get ultra wealthy. No, that is false. Gold was used as real money for many, many years. And those guys, the Rothschilds, were just as wealthy when there was real gold and real silver as real money. It's fact. You think they just got ultra wealthy since they got it off the gold standard in 1971? They've been doing that for centuries, being the most richest people in the world. Kidding me? Come on. All those most dominating bankers and people who control the earth, they were the most powerful people in the world. That was all gold and silver, right? So, this is the reason they won't care if they can go back to gold and silver. They could be just as wealthy if they can go back to the gold and silver as real cash. as real money, as a real currency. But they can't. There's not enough of it. There's too many people. It won't be able to expand their growth for them to keep getting this wealthy. Okay? If they can mine 1 billion ounces a year on gold, maybe. Just maybe. But at 100 million tops a year, it's not enough, man, with the population keep going up. I mean, think about it. I see people all around having 3, 4, 5, 6 kids all the time around me. It's too many people, which is why China had a regulation. They had laws against people having more than one child because their country got way out of hand with population. Everything's happened now in America with all these other immigrants coming into this country, which we all pretty much are immigrants in this country. So I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just saying from the kids that are born in this country and the people pouring in, the United States economy is getting over flooded too. The population of this country is getting over flooded. Everywhere. We can't do it. Too many people, not enough natural resources to do it. Plain and simple. That's the only reason why. You guys just got to look at the outlook of when it was real gold and silver and how it failed for those nations. What was those nations going through to make gold fail? 100% of the time. Fiat currency is a 100% failure too. Yes. All currencies is a 100% guaranteed to fail. This is why they reset and try something different. It's just a cycle. It's just the way it's going to be. And our next thing I'm afraid of is going to be all digital. No more cash. No more nothing in your pocket. Nothing. Everything is just going to be right from the government. He's going to know everything you make, everything you spend. And that's just going to be it, right? Or would they do that? Because that'll totally eliminate... Oh, that's another video. I don't want to even get into that. So this is all the gold and silver video. So this is my aspect and why we can never go back to gold and silver. And I think it's the most realistic view of them all. Because it's plain and simple. Because that's what happened to in other nations and empires thousands and thousands of years before the United States was ever... been discovered, I won't say discovered, but basically been founded upon by George Washington, all the other good guys over there. So this is the reason why, and that's the only reason. They all fail. They get too big, and you got to get off the gold. You have no choice. You have no choice. You can't mine it. So you die. And that's how the empires died back then in Roman. They didn't have paper. They were stuck with the gold. If they can switch it to paper like the United States did in 1971, they probably would have survived a lot longer. Okay? Because they had a backup plan. So, let's go back to all paper. Don't back it up with anything anymore. We're the best powerful country in the world. Everybody's going to go for the ride because every country's still going to get wealthy from us. Alright? Still are. Exporting, importing. Of course. If the United States dollar was so bad, the whole world would just turn against it completely. But then who's going to take it over? China's the #1 for fiat currency failure. Everybody keeps talking about them being a next world leader, right? They're the #1 failure of all. So, when you talk about money, real money, being used as currency, understand the facts of what gold and silver really do to a nation before you actually open up your mouth, because there's an old saying, be careful what you wish for because you might get it. They go back to the gold standard, the country's collapsing. You want it to collapse? Let them go back to the gold standard. Watch how quick that goes down. Overnight, because they won't be able to produce anything. Then everybody's losing their jobs. Right? You won't be able to produce the materials that you need because all that, well, we don't have the money for growth. See ya, boom, boom, boom. Next down, next down, next down, next down. And then next you know, with the Roman Empire, everything is up in flames. That's why the fiat currency, you can just press the printing press and keep everything flowing. You guys can call it a scam, whatever you want, but I'll tell you what, it keeps making you and I wealthy in some ways. And look at this. If paper was really trash and gold and silver was really all that, then why are they taking cash or paper fiat for this? Right? Why are they giving us the good stuff and taking the bad stuff? The bad stuff's so bad. It's not so bad. It's the way the world works. Out with the old, in with the new. Gold and silver's done. It's too big of a population. You want it to go back to gold and silver? Alex Jones moment. Depopulation! That'll do it. Knock half the people off the planet, 70% of the population, 80% of the population. Then it can go back to the gold and silver standard. Until then, it ain't happening. Otherwise, the countries would do it already. Looking forward to your comments, and everybody have a great day. Thank you.